So SGA and the Thunder will look to even their series tonight. After Halliburton and the Pacers took Game 3, OKC has yet to lose back-to-back games this postseason. SGA has averaged 33.6 points per game after a loss this postseason, all resulting in a Thunder win. Oh, Monica.
Hey, girl.
What would it say about SGA if OKC loses this series?
I don't like this question.
I knew you wouldn't.
Because I think it just says the Indiana Pacers are way better than we thought. The man is giving you 35 points a game. Like, listen, watching Game 3, I did not walk away from Game 3, SA, feeling as if the MVP didn't show up. I looked at that as, man, Carlisle got terrific defenders. They wore him out. He left it all out there. And the Thunder are going to have to respond when they get to Game 4. But so far in the series, I do not feel like SGA has not answered the call. And he wouldn't be the first regular season MVP that doesn't ultimately end up being the champion anyway. I think that would be more commentary on the Pacers than it would be about him.
They're going to say he hasn't arrived, Eminem. They're going to say that. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because if he performs the way he performed in Games 1 and 2, I don't believe they lose the series. I believe they win the night. I believe they end up winning this series. If he looks like he looked in Game 3, where they're pushing the pace, they're constantly putting a hand on him, they're in attack mode, and he seems fatigued or whatever. This ain't about his game, this is about the results.
I got you.
You're a league MVP. Remember, we're walking into this series with the Oklahoma City Thunder as the favorite. It would be entirely different if you were going up against a superior team, and you was that dude, but you didn't have the requisite pieces surrounding you, and you went up against that kind of opponent, and they took you down. Oklahoma City walked into these NBA Finals as the best team in the NBA, the #1 defense in the NBA in every statistical category that you would imagine. You got a superstar in this brother that's averaging 32 a game. That's the league MVP. And then all of a sudden, the rest of the NBA Finals, not Games 1 and 2, because I know he showed up then, but the rest of the NBA Finals, you look normal? Oh, no, they'll hold that against you.
Monica says it's more about the Pacers. Stephen A. says it means he hasn't arrived.
Yes.
UD, break the tie for us.
You're talking to an OG here who spent a lot of time in the locker room helping some of these young guys get over the hump. So I'm gonna just say this part of his journey, Stephen A. This is part of his journey. If we look at it, Bron didn't get it till 9. Hakeem didn't get it till 10. Dirk didn't get it till 13. Great players go through these situations where it takes a little bit of time. MVP, scoring title, Western Conference Finals MVP. Historical defense. This is a team who 3 years ago did not make the playoffs. 2 years ago lost in the play-in. Last year got to the conference finals. So they're trending in the right direction. Sometimes the pain of losses, those sleepless nights, that's what drives you to be another version of yourself you didn't know what you had in you.
Did he answer the question?
If they lose this series, hold on. If they lose this series, Stephen A., I guarantee SGA is going to look back on this series and say, that series made me better.
No, I have no doubt about that.
That series made me better.
Well, I'm not questioning that, and we're not questioning his superb talents as a basketball player. What we're saying is, when you brought up LeBron, when he didn't catch the title, when he didn't capture the titles, as great as he was, we were waiting for the arrival. He hadn't arrived yet. You arrive when you close. Magic Johnson sat up here yesterday. He alluded to that. Every champion that I've ever met, including yourself, has alluded to that. Until you close the deal, you haven't arrived.
UD, let me explain to you something about Stephen A. Okay, so you enjoy UD, I think, like you do, in terms of, you learn in the tough moments, the resiliency, it makes you better, stronger. This man, he just wants the results. So he doesn't want to hear about the maturation, the journey. He wants to see the ring.
I wouldn't go that far. It's not quite that harsh.
Oh, it's the truth.
It's not quite that harsh.
You want everyone to have a ring.
Molly.
Yeah.
How can you say he hasn't arrived and he's the MVP? How can you say he hasn't arrived and he's the scoring champion?
I'm just telling you.
How can you say he hasn't? No, not you, Molly. I'm talking about Stephen A.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Stephen A. How can you say he hasn't arrived and he's the Western Conference MVP? Like, how can you say he hasn't arrived?
No, what I'm saying.
You can damn near book him for 35.
I feel like we're
particularly when particularly when you were the favorite. That is what's going to get held against. It's a big deal right there. He wasn't the underdog.
But I'm saying, and this is what I keep going back to you are, Vegas, America, whoever, the margin is not as wide in reality now that we've gotten into this series.
No, it's changed.
That's what I'm saying.
It's changed.
But I think from the jump, to hold him being a favorite and how dominant they were during the course of the regular season over his head, if the Pacers the collective strike of the Pacers going 11 deep, and a coach that's already won a championship pulls it out. To me, that's less of a reflection on Shai himself.
I don't disagree with you.
Can I say one thing? I think the headline is more so what you're saying, though, that if Indy ends up pulling this off, it's that Indy pulled it off more so than OKC losing.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. And we're going to look at a lot of things about OKC. Like, for example, where was this vaunted defense that everybody was bragging about? Why did Daigneault not start Hartenstein and change what had worked for him all year long? Yeah. You're going to have these questions. Yes. We're going to have these questions. But that's assuming Shai plays the way we saw him play in games 1 and 2, and you just didn't get it done. What can't happen is all of a sudden we see fatigue getting the best of you. We see Nembhard and Nesmith guarding you, and that seems to have a detrimental effect on you. That suddenly the mid-range game ain't as pure as it was in games 1 and 2. You're not finishing in a basket in games throughout the rest of the series as you did in games 1 and 2. We're going to look at these things. I'm just saying it can't be you. We got to look at you, and we have to say, yo, it can't be you. Game 3, that was part him. Game 1, not so much, when he dropped 38. Game 3, different. It's how you look at it.
Yeah, but everybody has one bad game. You do. Final word here, and then we'll bring Vegas in. You can come over, Joey.
Come on, Joe.
Come on over, Joe. Come hang out. We don't know where we're standing, so we're just blocking each other, so don't mind us.
There you go.
We're rookies today.
Mad dog thing.
UD, what do you want to say to Stephen A. and Monica to close this out? And then I'm told you need to roll because you have other television responsibilities.
I'm going to say if they do win this series, if Indiana does win this series, I'm going to give the MVP trophy to Tricky Ricky, Rick Carlisle, because I've seen what he does. He did it to us. He did it to us in the finals. Yeah, he did it to us in the finals, and he unpassed us as we ran through everybody. And Spo will tell you, I got better in our finals against Rick Carlisle. I think Rick Carlisle is not getting enough credit for what he does offensively as a Wizard. They have one set where they get 5 or 6 different options out of it. You saw it in the fourth quarter where they came off that double pick and roll, and Tyrese Halliburton hit the skip to Naismith, and he hit the 3. They've been running that play all game, and they have not got to that option until the fourth quarter with 3 minutes left in that game. So Rick Carlisle is a Wizard, so watch out for Tricky Ricky.
I like that.
Tricky Ricky.
Tricky Ricky.
That's cute.
That's good.
Tricky Ricky with the call.
Yeah.
Our team's making big offers and calling about Jaylen Brown and Derek White, 100%. The Celtics prefer not to trade him, from my understanding. But listen, if they get a big offer, they have to look at everything. And I think they're going to get offers on the 3 guys that they're focused on. They're going to get offers potentially on Derek White and Jaylen Brown. And I think between now and the draft and free agency, they're going to evaluate what makes sense from a value perspective, and that's where they're going to move.
Blowing up Boston. Time for a quick take, Stephen A. You just heard Shams. Should the Celtics trade Jaylen Brown?
I don't think that should be the case right now because Jason Tatum is out, and he's not going to be back for the foreseeable future, at least half the season, if not longer. You're paying this man over $300 million. You want to win some games. If you want to consider moving him at the trading deadline. I don't think it should be something that's done this offseason. You want to see what he can do, what kind of load he can carry before the trading deadline and go that route. That's what I would do. I wouldn't go into this season without Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Yeah. All right, let's keep it rolling, guys. Some more question marks. So Kevin Durant and the Suns will look to part ways this offseason. KD set to enter the last year of a 4-year, $198 million extension he signed in Brooklyn. And while he does not have a no-trade clause like Suns teammate Bradley Beal, Durant still holds the cards in his next destination. So with KD and the Suns discussing trade options, our front office insider Bobby Marks proposes a trade for the Timberwolves. Interesting, to acquire Kevin Durant. In his hypothetical, Timberwolves would get KD and the Suns would receive Rudy Gobert, Dante DiVincenzo, Mike Conley, and this year's first-round pick. All right, we got the whole gang back here with us. Stephen A., would Ant and KD be the best duo in the league?
Wow. That's a tough one right there. But I would have to say yes. I would have to say yes based on what I saw from Ant-Man in terms of his elevation, having the ball in his hand. Didn't look great against OKC because they were playing a matchup zone that was looking like man-to-man. It had 2 guys on him at all times, stuff like that. But for the most part, we saw his ball handling ability. We saw him improve his J, led the league in 3-point shots made. Not to mention the fact that his decision-making improved for the most part. You put that with a dude like KD who can put the ball on the floor. That's the key here. Against Oklahoma City, nobody could put the ball on the floor but Ant-Man. Nas couldn't do it. Nas Reed couldn't do it. McDaniels couldn't do it. Mike Conley could do it, but can't score off the dribble. He can just handle the ball, but he's not a scorer. Rudy Gobert, don't get me started. So, you had limitations. Dante DiVincenzo's not a ball handler. He's a shooter. So you didn't have anybody that could put the ball on the floor against OKC, and that's not what's going to cut it. You look at Indiana, for example, you have a plethora of dudes that could put the ball on the floor. In Minnesota's case, that was not the case. So to have Kevin Durant, who's a bona fide scoring machine, who could give you 27 to 30 a night and put the ball on the floor in doing so, and to have Ant-Man be able to have somebody like that to rely upon, and for defenses to have the game plan for a KD, which takes some of the load off of Ant-Man, freeing him up even more. It could very well end up being the best duo in basketball.
For sure, and I love it for you more time in the Midwest.
Minnesota, as long as it's during this time of year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Won't be there in the winter. Promise you that.
It's good for him.
Not happening.
So I first my mind goes, okay, offensively versus defensively. And immediately I think you think about what the Lakers got going on with LeBron and Luka as a duo of that's comparable, if not in that same consistency. In the East, with Boston now navigating injuries, how will this Indiana thing pan out? I don't know that you would still pull a duo from that team, even if they go on to win the title this year. I think in terms of this pairing of KD and Ant, what they could potentially be on both sides of the ball, I'm hard-pressed to come up with a better duo. Like, I want to go San Antonio maybe, but I don't know that De'Aaron Fox carries that sort of weight, even though you got Wemby.
SGA, J-Dub.
So that's the one that you think.
But that's your long-term buy, right?
That's long-term. I'm talking short-term. I'm talking short-term. I'm talking short-term.
Long-term buy, that's the one.
Yes.
Short-term, I think you hit it with LeBron and Luka.
That's
Everybody hates Luka. He averaged 28, 8, and 7 last year, but he's not in shape. 28, 8, and 7.
And on the LeBron versus Luka, if you want to go both sides of the ball, I think you got to give the advantage to KD and Ant.
That's where I was going.
Right.
They don't play defense like Ant-Man can play defense, like KD can play. KD is not some elite defender, but he can be when he wants to be. The brother's 6'11" with a 7'6" wingspan who can guard on the perimeter. KD can D you up now.
Yeah.
Steph and buckets.
Well, the only
thing with Jimmy is you got to wonder how much is left there.
Yeah, but you can't.
I didn't
Jimmy,
think about that one.
Steph, and Jimmy.
Would you guys?
It's hard because
that doesn't compare to Ant-Man and KD.
You think there are more tandems out there, and when you sit there and you break this down, you lose Tatum and Brown, Embiid and George. We want to project out Embiid and George.
No.
Moving on.
No.
You're not even going to indulge?
No.
I'm not either.
What if they're healthy?
You got to stay on the court 50 games. How about that?
Okay, so they're on the court 50 games.
I don't want any producer to ever complain to me that I try to work the Giants into the show again, okay? Ever.
It's a reasonable, if they stay healthy, it's reasonable.
I go Jokic and Murray.
Nope.
Murray's on the decline. That's the problem with that one.
And I love Murray.
And they take him off the court in the huge defensive stops in the series against LA.
Okay.
So that's the thing. It's a hard test.
Yeah.
So again, back to SGA and J-Dub, it starts to look more attractive, even though Williams, there needs to be a little bit more moving forward.
Monica, let me ask you this as someone that covers the league. Just if you were the one pulling the strings, where would you like to see KD end up?
I think Houston is on the cusp if they can get a star. I think between Ime Udoka's chops as a former player, as a coach, as a leader, I think you hold on the core down there. If I'm looking at Houston, you got Fred VanVleet, who's won as a championship point guard. I think you got to hold on to Şengün. I'm kind of out on Green. He's a little, in terms of getting a big piece, right? But I think you've got enough there. I like Atari Eason, who's not going to hit you in terms of your salary cap. But if you need to move him, I think he's attractive as a piece around the league. I think Houston's on the cusp. Now, this one to me, in the proposed trade that Bobby Marks said puts Gobert instead of Randall, which I don't know if you can tinker that a little bit, because I do think Gobert is still at the center of what they do defensively.
Yeah. But I would tell you that, again, KD with an Ant-Man, with a physical presence on your front line that can defend, Rudy Gobert would probably be that person in that scenario. It doesn't bother me. But I love the thought of KD playing in Houston with Ime Udoka, who I consider to be one of the top 5 coaches in basketball. I think Ime Udoka is a spectacular coach. He just knows how to get it out of you. Of course, I would love for KD to be in New York. Make no mistake about it. I would love that as well. But I will say this to you about Phoenix. you better make sure you get something for
That's
this.
the thing.
You cannot, this cannot be, I'm doing the star a favor who's looking to move. This is about you if you're Matt Ishbia and the Phoenix Suns. This is about you making sure that you get it right. You can't, because Devin Booker, listen, they'd give away Bradley Beal if they could. They can't because he's got no trade clause, okay? Can't get rid of him, so he's stuck with him, which is why KD is the only asset you have. You got to get. I can't, Molly. It's on vibrate. Relax.
No, it's not that. You're just close it. Just trust me.
My phone?
Just close it all.
My phone?
Yeah, just put it all down.
That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Well, okay. Well,
so
Stephen A., they're zooming in on it.
Okay, all right.
You can see your text messages, everything. I'm trying to help you out.
Text messages.
Stephen A., your computer. It's all on TV. Just close it. I'm looking out for you. Try to be smooth. Jeez.
What a Friday show, guys.
A nice peek behind the scenes. Back to the Suns conversation for a second. When you're talking about what you get in return for Durant. I had a great thought, and then I got locked into this. It's not going to come back.
She distracted you.
It probably wasn't that great of a thought.
You needed the picks.
Picks.
Ishbia's got to do it
Something.
right.
No better than
Ishbia's
having my damn email on camera.
Got it.
Go ahead.
Yes. Giannis out of the equation is the best thing that could happen to Phoenix because the whole supply and demand concept. Everybody who was going to unload trying to get Giannis, San Antonio, Houston, all these teams that were arming up to go get Giannis, robust market, you remove him from the equation, Durant's the last guy standing. And now Phoenix can pit them all against one another. It was worth the wait.
So they have to do it,
Yes.
but they have to do it for themselves. It can't be about Durant.
No, it cannot.
They got to do it for themselves because, listen, they're in a pinch. Phoenix is in a pinch. Devin Booker is the only dude that's safe there. He's the only dude they're trying to keep. And they gave away a lot of assets. They got to get some assets back.
The way that imploded so quickly.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Because you got a couple of cats that don't really want to be there.
Golly.
And you got rid of 2 back-to-back championship coaches after 1 year.
Guys,
Vogel and then Budenholzer.
I'm just looking out, all right? I'm looking out.
I appreciate that,
If it was
Molly.
you guys.
I'd have just been like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, thank you. This guy has always got to make it difficult. One day he'll learn.
Wanna try to boast at what I look like. Keep them down, try to wear, I pull up long range. Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. It's NBA over here,